And welcome back to another episode of the Branching Out podcast. Exciting one this week. We've got Chris Hinchcliffe, our HSQE Director here at Ground Control. And welcome, Chris. Thank you for joining us today.
Hi, good morning.
HSQE, I mean, most of us at some point work with an HSQE manager, but there's more to just, your manager team. There's a lot going on in HSQE. Could you introduce yourself a bit and kind of give us the overall work that your team does at Ground Control?
Sure. Well, obviously, I'm Chris Hinchcliffe. I'm HSQE Director at Ground Control. I've been with the business just over 5 years now. And I think my role really is it's all about making sure people go home safe, that we meet our legal and client obligations, and that the quality environmental standards that we build into how we work. They're not just bolted on afterwards. They're part of everything that we do day in, day out. I lead a fantastic team of people. We support the business by providing clear guidance, practical assurance, and honest challenge. For our operational teams, we try to make the right thing the easy thing to do, if that makes sense.
Yep.
And for our clients, it's about giving them confidence that and providing them assurance that our work is being delivered safely, it's being delivered responsibly, and to the right legal and consistent standard. So that's what we do in a nutshell, really.
Yeah, it's trying to keep it simple, but mainly the most important thing is keeping it safe at the end of the day. So it's not doing paperwork for the sake of paperwork. It's making sure that the practices and procedures are in place to keep people safe, but keeping it as simple as possible at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there is a need for the procedure, the policies, but it's how we take those policies and procedures and transform them into how we work every day on our sites in front of our clients and in front of members of the public.
So do you work a lot with our clients when it comes to bringing on contracts and making sure that we're meeting the standards, or is that more your manager team that works with your, I guess, how does your client, how would a client, to what extent do clients interact with your team?
Well, we do quite a bit up front before we win the work. We obviously do the PQQs, the client interviews. Sometimes we do client visits. We take clients around our sites with our operational managers. We answer questions on our past performance, and we give evidence to clients that demonstrate our compliance to certain standards. Once we win the work and we get onto site, we might meet up with the respective client's operational manager or operational health and safety person and do joint visits to monitor performance and monitor compliance to give them that assurance and trust. The worst part of it is if we've had an incident, then we get the call from the client, and that's a different conversation then, and that would be normally then incident investigation, understanding why things have happened so we can put measures in place to stop them happening again. So it's all about learnings, really. And that's the most important thing, that when we do have an incident, we understand why it's happened so we can stop it happening again.
Yeah, exactly. And I guess that level, I mean, clients must appreciate that level of transparency and knowing that they can get that level of service from not just, they get a level of service from our operations team doing the work, but there's also that equal level of service and transparency and making sure that we're keeping people safe on their sites, that they must appreciate.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's where the trust comes in. And we've over the years we've got long-standing relationships, and those relationships wouldn't be possible with those key clients were we not transparent and were we not open and honest with our performance.
Yeah, no, that is important part of building that trust, is keeping that line of communication open. Like you said, you've been here for 5 years now.
Yeah.
You started right at the end of when COVID was kind of ending, I think.
That's right.
And and we're kind of getting into a new way of working in the world. Do you have any insights from your experience working the last 5 years at Ground Control?
Well, I've worked across a few sectors in my time. Generally, the last 15 years prior to ground control, I was in construction, working for a tier one contractor. When I came across to ground control, what initially and immediately stood out for me was the scale and the variety of what ground control does, the different sectors that we're in and that we're trying to get in, and also the pace at which we work here. It really was a shock to the system to me initially for that first orientation period. And I always say this to people when I do their inductions, or I get to meet them when they're on their induction or part of their orientation, is give the business time and learn to give yourself time to learn the business.
Yeah.
Sometimes it takes people 6 months to fully appreciate what we do here and to get to know the structure of the business and who does what. And then after that, it kind of the pace kind of becomes normal, and you get a little bit of enjoyment out of it. It's actually quite engaging, and it keeps you on your toes all the time, and it's good.
Yeah, there'd be the job I worked at before I started at ground control. I did like a 8-month stint at another company, and yeah, it was like I would get the thing done, and I'd be like, right, what do I do now? Where at ground control, I've never had that. I've never
No.
had that day at ground control. It's never been like, oh, what do I do now? No, it's more like, okay, how do I get this done today, and how do I fit it all in? So
I think as well with the business, it is fair to say it's a business where safety, quality, and environment generally does matter,
yes,
because we have some really high risk works and some incredibly talented people delivering those works, and without their compliance, their knowledge, their skills, we wouldn't be able to deliver the volume of work that we deliver at the standard that we do it. So it's a testimony to the people that we've got working for us.
yes.
I like here that there's a real openness about how we improve and how we do things, and sometimes even when we have to have those difficult conversations where we're not doing something so well, there's a genuine will right up to Exco to get things right and to put things right, and that really for a HSQE professional is the absolute, without that support and without that buy-in from senior management, we would never get anything done.
No, there's definitely that. I guess that's our whole value around, like, we want to innovate and we want to embrace change, and we want to, we want to win at the end of the day. We want everyone to be home safe and to do a great job. With that said, we're kind of starting the new financial year in April. What is the focus for your team this year?
Well, I take a lot of guidance, obviously, in direction from Exco, and particularly from Jason, the CEO. And this year we've aligned our focus and our strategy around the message that Jason delivered during the recent voice. He talked about being simpler, stronger, and sharper. And from our perspective, we've ensured that we've made that message part of our changes, part of our policy. So simpler for us means stripping back the unnecessary complexity, clearer procedures, more visual standards, clearer expectations, and clearer safety processes that help people to work on site. I mean, our IMS now is coming up to 4 years old. There was an initial rush to get the documents in there to get to the standard and to be able to meet our ISO expectations. We've done that now. We've got the information in there. We've now got to improve it to the level that we want it to be, and to give the users the actual the interface that they want. And Phil and the team are working on making that IMS experience a lot more easier this year, and a lot more sort of trying to think of the word I need here.
you're user friendly. You want it to be, the stakeholders, just like it is for us in training, are all the people that are working out there in operations, and it's trying to make it user friendly and easy for them to get what they need at the end
Intuitive
of the day.
is what I was trying to say.
There we go. Sorry.
You know, but yeah, so that in terms of that, that's the simpler. The sharper is about consistency, confidence. One thing where we've let ourselves down in the last couple of years is planning. We've got to get better at planning, sharper leadership, sharper behaviours, better use of our data, and learning so we spot risks earlier rather than having to react to them. And that's the shift in culture that we want to try to get to. We're very good at reacting to bad situations. We've learned a lot over the past 2 or 3 years. Now we want to get in front of them. And then stronger. It's all about culture, building ownership within our managers, within our teams, strengthen our supply chain assurance, and making sure people feel supported to speak up when something isn't right. And that will ultimately make us as a business stronger from a HSQE perspective, but also stronger from a business perspective as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone obviously wants to make sure everyone gets home safe at the end of the day. And if you can get ahead of the potential or at all, potential for an incident or accident, I mean, that's not just saves, potentially a life or injury, but also saves people a lot of time and a lot of effort that takes away from actually producing quality work at the end of the day. So yeah, no, that's very much appreciated. Is if there's something, you really want people to kind of take home from our chat or really think about, is there something you'd want them to kind of really remember, take away that to keep in mind as we start this next financial year?
I think it's the culture. Culture shows up in areas that we often immediately don't notice. How we plan our work, how we respond when something goes wrong, and whether people feel heard when they raise a concern. That's where safety and quality really live, in those behaviours. And getting those everyday behaviours right makes a big difference. And it starts to build and continues to build that trust. It encourages ownership and ultimately helps people protect each other and deliver better outcomes for the business.
Yeah, we all have to play our role, and it's that we talk a lot about obviously psychological safety in training, and it's that also carries over to your behavioral safety, and that we all need to kind of step up and make sure that we're speaking up, looking out for each other, and being open to looking at how we could do things faster and safer and simpler, like Jason said. Obviously, we are the L&D podcast. What sort of focus do you have for your team when it comes to development and learning?
For me, even at my stage in my career, towards the back end, that's the latter stages of it, learning never really stops. I keep up to date through my own professional development, my membership of IOSH, and other industry bodies and networks. I attend regular safety groups, so I keep in touch and I understand what's coming in, what the focus is on safety. But I also learn a lot and reflect on our incidents and feedback from client engagements. For our team, it's about coaching. Being, one thing we're trying to do this year is expose the managers to different parts of the business, and for them to encourage the people that they sort of work with to build confidence in what they do, and to get a better understanding of health and safety, not just the technical side of it, but the behaviours.
Yeah, I mean, we have a coaching and a mentoring program at Ground Control, and much the same. It's to give you either the support to help you with making your decisions or the support to help you get better at making those decisions, and that how that's really important, empowering people, and again supporting that behavior and that what we call psychological safety or behavioral safety at the end of the day. For those that are listening and have some interest in health and safety, obviously some guys, especially the arborist guys, where they're maybe not able, or gals, not able to climb up those trees as fast as they used to. Um, do you have any tips or advice for somebody that maybe is looking for either maybe a career shift into health and safety or developing their knowledge of health and safety further?
Well, I'd say this about anybody in any position is don't wait around for somebody to tell you to develop or to tell you to learn new skills. Take ownership, be curious, ask questions, get involved in other areas, whether that is health and safety, if you've got a particular interest in environmental sustainability or even quality assurance. Put yourself in a situation where you can learn from that experience, or even, mistakes, whether that's your mistakes or other people's mistakes. There's an old cliche which I quite like, is it's be the best you can be. I do like that. But for me, I think it's really important that you find something that you enjoy and that you care about, and you care about the impacts of what you do, because I think if you do enjoy what you do and you care about what you do, you tend to do it better. The learning comes a lot easier and naturally, and you're more likely to stick with that. And it's easier if you enjoy what you do.
Yeah, exactly.
If that is health and safety, there's always routes in for people, whether it's a health and safety champion or setting standards within your own business unit. We're always looking for help and support in those areas.
Okay, that's a great point. If someone's looking at becoming a health and safety champion or take a bit more of a role, who should they get in contact with, or who should they reach out to?
Well, anybody from the HSQE team, if they've got a particular relationship with one of the HSQE managers, one of the quality managers, then reach out to those, and they'll collate that. Alternatively, they can write direct to me, email me direct, or Teams, and we'll organise a catch up and a conversation to start things off.
That's good to know, because that's really getting people that are out there in the day-to-day coming together and discussing health and safety and making it much more of a...
There's a lot of offerings, if you look across L&D at what is available at the moment, there's a lot of opportunities for people that want to take them. And like I say, don't wait for somebody to tell you to do that. Put yourself forward.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and GC Grow is really great for that as well. If you're trying to develop yourself in a particular profession, you've given us some really great insights. Is there any one particular key insight or lesson that you've learned during your time at Ground Control that you believe everyone should know?
One of the biggest lessons I've learned is that our systems and our policies only take us so far. What really makes a difference, and what makes a difference for our clients, is how people behave day to day on site, and a huge part of that is the culture. That culture is shaped by our managers, and they're so key and so influential over those teams that it's important that we get that culture absolutely right, and they do such a great job. We've got to expand it more consistently across all areas of the business. But whether something is going right or something is going wrong, if we get that consistency in the planning, the priorities, the understanding of risks, and the communication right, it starts and continues that culture journey, and it continues to make the difference when it comes to putting somebody to work safely and allowing them to do the job safely and go home safe at the end of every day.
Yeah, no, I mean, don't underestimate your influence, your level of influence. We all can get very much into our own little bubbles, but we all play a part in the bigger bubble that is Ground Control, and making sure that planning and being safe and getting everyone home safe at the end of the day is important. So thank you very much, Chris. I appreciate taking the time to talk with me today, and we will have to catch up with another member of your team soon. Thank you.
Thanks, Jess.
And as always, if you would like to get involved with the Branching Out podcast and come on as a guest, please reach out to us in the training team at Ground Control. Until next time, take care.